Hello friends, Andrew, Riddler Reptiles. Right, today's video comes with a warning, okay? If you don't like seeing animals eating other animals, which by the way, the ones that are being eaten are already... Don't watch. Let's jump straight into it. I recently went away to a responsible reptile keeping filming day, which was very, very good fun. And I went with Team Educate Don't Berate, who I am a part of. Shout out to Team EDB. And all round, it was a very good day. We met up at the Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park, which was incredible, I'm not gonna lie. But part of it was watching Pete, the Komodo dragon, get fed. And in this video, you're gonna see the comparisons between how Pete the Komodo dragon, shout out to the name by the way, ate and approached his meal compared to Dagger, my Roughneck monitor. So, without further ado, you've already seen some little snippets. Let's get into it, little side-by-side comparison, see how they got on, see what happened. But yeah, enjoy the video.
My first noticeable observation comparing these two beautiful beasts is that you'll see Pete approaching and finding the carcass. But he seems very chilled out about his discovery, almost as if he knows it isn't going to run away from him. You do see the test bites, but there doesn't seem to be a matter of urgency with him, which is quite fascinating to see. However, when we see Dagger, even though he doesn't know what to expect, he immediately knows there is something on the way. And then you can see the exact moment he finds the prey, and he pauses for a moment, almost like he doesn't want to alert this potential living meal, as far as he's aware, and then strikes. The difference here also being the fact that he picks up the quail and immediately tries to take it somewhere more secluded and safe. Is this because Dagger feels more open to having his meal stolen? More vulnerable? And Pete, being the literal king of the dragons, isn't as easily fazed by his meal being out in the open for all to see? Let me know what you think in the comments. We then see Pete immediately finding limbs to pull on and start tearing up to try and eat some small pieces. Again, without a lot of urgency. Is he used to these sorts of feeds? Does he remember from previous big feeds that it isn't going to run away and that he can just pick it apart as he goes? Because if we switch over to Dagger again, we see that initially it still looks like he's trying to kill his prey and is refusing to let it go. But then he decided to once again show me that maybe roughneck monitors aren't the most intelligent species in monitor, because he drops it for a second and actually momentarily loses it. I wish I could say he was just adjusting his handle on the quail, but to me that looked very much like he lost it. I truly don't understand how this species survives in the wild. You can see he doesn't want to lose it again. The grip he is walking around with is incredible, and you see him bashing it on the walls and dragging it between the ground hide wall and a log, before then implementing those front claws to help tearing it apart. Back to Pete, and once again you can see how at ease he is to leave it be and consider his options without holding on for dear life. No pun intended towards the deer. At this point early on, he still isn't using those powerful claws yet, and is still relying on the brute strength of his jaws and the sharpness of those teeth. A Komodo dragon can have a bite force of between 500 to 600 psi, which, whilst it isn't the most powerful bite in the animal kingdom, compare that to a human's 120 to 160 psi, and it's pretty impressive if you ask me. This is an animal that can reach upwards of 10 feet in length from snout to tip of tail, which is an incredible size for any reptile, once again earning its name of King of the Dragons. Back to Dagger, and we continue to see his level of urgency in trying to tear this prey item apart. I knew this feed was coming, so I didn't actually feed him for a little while, as I knew this would be a big meal for him. So I'm wondering if maybe that has something to do with it. These are an opportunistic hunter that will eat whatever they can, whenever they can. The bite force of a rudicolus hasn't been explicitly quantified as far as I can tell from the research I did, but being a monitor lizard that can reach upwards of 5.5 feet as a full-grown male, we know that it won't tickle if you get tagged by one of these guys. Sure, it may not have the life-threatening potential like a Komodo or a croc monitor, but let's not try and find out how bad it can be, especially when we take into account the joint action of bite and slash. No, thank you. Dagger continued to drag his quail around and knock it about, rarely loosening his grip as he went. You could tell that brain was in work mode. Back to Pete, and we lost him in the bushes for a little while as he continued to try to get in a strong position to get some meat off of the carcass. Eventually, he made it around to the front where we had an up-close and personal view of his big meal, where we could really see those jaws at work. We also got to see just how beautiful this animal is. His head had an almost blue coloration to it, and it was absolutely incredible. Blue face, a yellow-brown neck, and a dark body. He was truly a beautiful specimen, who I could have sat and watched all day. In fact, I nearly did. Because of this new epic vantage point, we could really see those neck muscles in action as Pete did his best to tear away at the meat and get his meal. We got a great look at those giant claws, each one looking like a switchblade. For a while, I just sat and basked in this animal's glorious presence. I think it's quite easy to see why. We returned to Dagger, and at this point, I think he had realized that his prey would not be able to run or fly away from him, because a couple of times I noticed him putting it down to readjust his grip. Similar to what we saw with Pete, Dagger grabbed a dangling leg and tried his luck there for a while. Eventually, Dagger finally got his first reward, as a piece of meat was successfully pulled off of the carcass, and he now knew that all of this effort would be worth it.
Very, very quick intermission, my friends, whilst Big Dagger is eating. Massive shout out to my Patreon members. Love you, appreciate you. I really, really do appreciate you. Your constant support is really, really helpful. It helps me get all of these projects done in a much more timely manner than I would do otherwise. So thank you, I appreciate you. It really does help. If you want to help me out that little bit more, please consider signing up to the Patreon. It starts from as little as £2 a month. You get early access, you get behind the scenes, you get all sorts of different things. But yeah, please consider doing so. And yeah, shout out, appreciate you, love you, thank you, bye.
And cut back over to Pete, and he was also enjoying the spoils of his efforts. He continued to drag and pull all around his enclosure, picking bits off bit by bit, which once again was very similar to what we saw with our boy at home. We eventually managed to split the quail in half, thus giving him a very good piece to try and get down him. It took him a while, and the dangling legs were definitely giving him some trouble, but as we will see momentarily, he didn't give up, and he got the job done. One final look at Pete the Komodo dragon before we see how Dagger finished off. But unfortunately, my time had run out at the Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park, and after a walk around this beautiful zoo, including a stunning reptile house, it was time to go home. Let me just show you a few snippets of the reptile house, and then we can go back to Dagger. Eventually, he made his way back to the second half of his meal and really gave it a good go. As we can see, he was making light work of it. But then just to add to not being able to see Pete finish his meal, Dagger took his into his cave and finished it without having a camera on him the whole time.
And that, my friends, was that. As you can see, I didn't really get to see the last part of Dagger eating his because he took the majority of it into his cave. Spoil sport. And obviously I couldn't finish seeing Pete eat because I had to go home. But we saw the majority of both. Really fascinating watching the way their brains tick and the way their, everything works, and them just trying to get that meal in. Very good enrichment, very, it's just fascinating to watch, without a doubt. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought. Let me know who you thought did a better job. And yeah, again, shout out to the conservation park, really good. And thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed something different, sort of. And see you in the next one. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, all of the good stuff, and we will see you in the next one. Peace out.